In the spirit of reconciliation, EarthCheck acknowledges traditional custodians of country throughout the world and their connections to land, sea, sky, and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Indigenous peoples today. This training course contains sensitive material, including discussions of natural and man-made disasters. Topics covered might include descriptions of their various disasters, the causes, and the impacts. Your well-being is important, and we encourage you to engage with the material at a pace that feels comfortable for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Natasha Montisalvo, and thank you for joining me for EarthCheck and the Queensland Tourism Industry Council's course, Disaster Resilience. We all know how much damage wildfires, storms, and floods can cause. In recent years, we've seen communities burnt down, underwater, death, entire ecosystems destroyed, derailing of transport, war, an increase in cyber incidents, and global lockdowns. That's why we've created this course, to help you plan for managing disasters in your business. This way, you can lower the impact on your business, community, and the economy. Our goal for this course is to guide you through the 4 phases of disaster management: prevent, prepare, respond, and recover. We'll give you clear steps for each part so that you can become better prepared. So, let's start at the beginning. In this lesson, you'll learn about 2 types of disasters: the importance of disaster management, disaster resilience, and the recovery success factors. Many hazards are becoming more frequent and intense, so it's not a question of if a disaster will occur, but when. A disaster is a situation that could make people lose trust in a business or its product. It might also make it hard for the business to keep operating like usual. The World Economic Forum has recognised that climate change is getting more serious, along with the possible results if we don't take enough action to deal with those changes. So what can you do? Well, let's talk about disasters. There are different types of disasters, and they will impact your business differently. Firstly, there are natural disasters. These happen because of different environmental factors. Disasters like bushfires, extreme weather, and pandemics. Then, there are man-made disasters. These happen because of human actions. Think cybercrimes, significant revenue loss, death, and terrorism. Now, here's the thing. When a disaster hits, it doesn't always come alone. More things keep happening, such as animal, flora, fauna extinction, homelessness, bigger problems with healthcare, financial challenges, rodent infestation, and many more implications. This realization suggests a concerning scenario. The world might unknowingly be sleepwalking towards a significant problem. When you know about these different types of disasters, you're better equipped to prepare and respond proactively to handle the possible dangers for your business. Sadly, more than 50% of small businesses haven't planned for any disaster. Disasters aren't just a disruption on the radar. They can seriously affect your business. It's not a case of if a disaster will happen. It's a case of when. You can't escape it. Disaster management is like your business's bodyguard. It's about preventing, preparing, responding, and recovering from disasters. Basically, it's about knowing how to act and having a practiced team and plan in place. The goal? To keep your people safe, protect property, and minimize environmental impact. And yes, build back efficiently and better. This is being disaster resilient. Now, let's talk about how to get this kind of strength. Just as you practice for a fire safety test or participate in an evacuation drill, disaster resilience also requires a similar process. For every $1 you spend on preparedness, you can save between 3 to 8 in recovery efforts. First, you need commitment. This means dedicating time, money, and resources to each step of the disaster management process. Next, there's planning. You need to figure out how you'll respond and what's needed for recovery, and document it all. Even a small team can do this. Then comes integration. Your disaster management plan should sync with your overall business plan. It's also essential to align with emergency services and key stakeholders like your destination management organisation or network. Lastly, testing is vital. Regular training and testing helps to identify areas for improvement. Plus, you and your team need to know the roles and responsibilities in a disaster response. One business that we work with was hit by a cyclone. This was unprecedented for the area. But because they had plans for other disasters like bushfires and had done regular testing, they were able to protect their people and get out of harm's way in just 3.5 minutes. These key elements are the basic building blocks that can help you and your business do well, even after a disaster. It's like making a smart investment for a safer tomorrow and waking up from that sleepwalk. Okay, over to you now. Take a moment to reflect on the disasters or events that have happened within your community over the past 10 years, or since you've owned the business. List them out, categorizing them into natural and man-made incidents. It's a small step towards being better prepared for the future. And here are 3 messages highlighting disaster resilience importance. Get ready for the inevitable. Disasters will occur. It's just a matter of time. Disaster management is about preventing, preparing, responding, and recovering from disasters. And incorporate disaster recovery success with commitment, planning, and testing for effective resilience. Nestled in a charming historic district, there is a quaint inn with a reputation for old world charm. The inn is located among dense bushland, adding to its charm. But it also means that it's in a high bushfire-prone area. The owners were not prepared for the impact that this would have on their business, meaning they had no plans in place to secure the property or to remove critical information from the inn before the fire hit. The fire caused significant damage to the building and finances, leading to a closure during the busiest season. The inn's reputation for nostalgia suffered as visitors cancelled reservations and negative reviews circulated. This cautionary tale emphasises the need to identify, assess, and manage risks. So in this lesson, we'll start making your risk management plan. We'll review what risk means and why it matters. We'll start getting ready for disasters by finding risks for your business. You'll learn to check these risks and how to deal with them. Basically, risk means the chance of something bad, like a disaster, hurting people, things, or the environment. We take risks every day, like crossing a busy road without using a proper crossing. We decide how likely something bad might happen and how important that risk is. Like the story I just shared, we sometimes overlook important details. In this instance, the owners failed to assess risks, leading to negative consequences for visitors, property, and their reputation. Knowing the risks for your business is the first step to be ready for problems and preventing them. Risks can be about safety, money, and what others think. By understanding this, you can figure out what problems might happen and how to reduce or stop them. Let's work on this together. Pause the video and download the risk management plan below this lesson. You might have done something similar for workplace safety. Now, let's focus on the prevention for natural and man-made disasters. In this story, the risk could have been reduced if a plan was in place. Think about risks by looking at past problems that disrupted or stopped business. Is it prone to fires or floods or staff shortages? Review the list that you started in the lesson, The Importance of Disaster Resilience. Consider your unique location. Think about what your business offers. What risks can you see? Look at your buildings and the surrounding areas. Are there flammable materials on the property? Write all of these into your risk management plan. Keep adding to it by involving others, your team, and experts like your insurance broker. So you've identified the risks. Now it's time to assess them. There are two important things to consider: the likelihood of the event happening and the consequence it will have on your business. Let me talk you through these tables. Firstly, assess the likelihood. Think about how likely an event is to occur. Is it rare, unlikely? Maybe it's likely to happen, or it's a certainty. You can then rate the likelihood from 1 being rare to 5 being certain. Next is the consequence assessment. Consider how much impact the event would have on your business. Is it a minor disruption, moderate, major, or even catastrophic? Again, rate this from 1 being insignificant to 5 being catastrophic. Now, let's put this into practice. Imagine that you have dry bushland right next to your property. This is a potential fire risk. Let's figure out the risk level. The likelihood. You give it a 4, meaning it's very likely that a fire will happen. The consequence? You rate that a 4 too, because it would put your business out for months. To find the risk level, you multiply these ratings together. 4 for likelihood by 4 for consequence equals 16. Using a risk assessment tool, you can see that 16 falls into major category. This means that you should act right away to address this risk. This formula helps you to identify what risks to prioritize. Then you can take action to lower the risks by either reducing, transferring, or avoiding it. To address our bushfire risk, you might want to 1. Reduce. Make it smaller, like cleaning out your gutters and ensuring that there is a fire break or a clear area of space between your property and bushland. And be prepared. 2. Transfer the risk to others. Discuss your policy with your insurer and make sure that you're covered for these events. Consider business interruption insurance. What if your business wasn't directly hit by a disaster, but trade slowed down because people stopped visiting the region? Or 3, avoid. Essentially stop the risk. Unfortunately, avoid doesn't work for all risks, which is why reducing is so essential. Now it's over to you to build your risk management plan. Get the team involved to identify, assess, and address the risks. If you have a plan in place already, review it and see how you can build on it to prevent the risk. Also, you can download the Disaster Management Checklist and Risk Management Plan. And here are 3 messages to remember from this lesson. Understanding your business's safety, financial, and perceived risk is the initial step in prevention. Apply the consequences and likelihood table to assess and prioritize risks effectively. And address risks by employing reduction, transfer, or avoidance strategies. Picture this: native wildlife, a peaceful bushland escape. A one-of-a-kind destination that's had to recover from multiple disasters, but still came out stronger, becoming a tale of resilience. When an unprecedented fire headed their way, the team showed remarkable preparedness. Against wildfires, their quick, coordinated action secured staff, animals, and visitors in less than 5 minutes. This teaches the value of being prepared. With plans developed and regularly tested, any confusion quickly turned into smart actions that saved lives and sustained the business. In this lesson, we will cover the 5 steps to preparing a disaster management plan. It's clear that being prepared for a disaster is more than just a smart move. It's a game changer. Research tells us that 90% of smaller companies fail within 1 year unless they can recover operations within 5 days after a disaster. If you want to recover, you have to prepare. To begin, create a solid disaster management plan with these 5 important steps. These steps will give you the tools you need to handle disasters effectively. Let's begin with the first step, defining roles and responsibilities. Keep in mind that roles can vary based on the size and the type of your business. Some roles you might want to consider include a disaster management leader. This person will be responsible for overseeing and preparing the risk assessment plans, business impact analysis, and business continuity plans. A training lead. This person is responsible for planning, executing, and evaluating regular reviews and drills to make sure that everyone is prepared for possible emergencies. Complementary to the training lead is a training support role. This role ensures that both the disaster management team and visitors know what is going on and what actions to take during a disaster. Also, a fundamental role is the risk and compliance lead. This person makes sure that the business follows safety laws and regulations. And lastly, a communication lead. This role handles communication both inside and outside the company during disasters, including the media. Once you've figured out the roles that you need, it's time to form your disaster management team. Dealing with disasters requires teamwork. Look both within your team and outside. Even in a small business involving partners, friends, or experts like accountants and communication specialists can be helpful. I know of businesses that include some staff, local tourism agencies, and public relations specialists. Look within your team. Think about the people in your team who handle challenges well. Watch out for those who do great in disaster drills. Their quick reactions could make them great team members. Remember, adapting your team is important. As time goes on, you might find that some people are better for different roles, especially those who stay calm under pressure or who can talk clearly during tough times. Your team doesn't have to stay the same forever. After planning your team, the next step is to create a communications package. This plan includes a contact hierarchy, contact lists, and communication templates to keep things organized and manageable. The contact hierarchy is a document that shows who needs to talk to whom and how to report to a central place. For instance, the disaster management lead is at the top of the hierarchy. They declare the disaster and get the team into action. Another critical aspect is having prepared templates for various situations, including communication with visitors, staff, and others. They will help you to control the narrative and maintain perspective during incidents. For instance, a media holding statement like, "We are aware of an incident and we are investigating. We will update you as soon as we have more information." We have some further examples that you can download after the lesson to help get you started. This saves you from struggling to find the right words when things are stressful. Moving into step 4 is to run training sessions. The team I mentioned earlier pulled off a quick response in less than 5 minutes because they conducted regular disaster training. The idea is to fully engage with a simulated disaster scenario, including guest communications, evacuations, as well as medical emergencies. This lets the training lead fine-tune and improve the responses and the coordination. You know, it's impossible to predict every disaster, but when you invest in dedicated training, you're giving your team the tools and the confidence they need to handle different challenges effectively. This kind of training really clarifies everyone's roles and responsibilities. Just keep in mind, it's not a matter of if a disaster will happen, but rather when it will. So when the unexpected strikes, all that preparation kicks in, allowing you to smoothly put your practiced responses into action, which is what helps you to recover effectively afterwards. Speaking of preparation, the fifth crucial step in your disaster management plan is to prepare a go pack. These are emergency kits containing vital documents like your contact hierarchy and your recovery plan. We will cover this more in the lesson Preparing Recovery. Get it together by collaborating with your disaster management team, and together decide what goes in the pack. Keep the go pack somewhere easily accessible, either on or off site. Some key things to consider for your go pack will be the staff contact list, including next of kin, the building site plan indicating gas, electricity and water shut-off points, financial, banking and insurance details, useful equipment like a mobile phone with credit and an extra SIM. If one network goes down, you can consider another. And water. Remember, the better you prepare, the more capable you become in facing disasters. Your response and recovery during such situations reflects how well you've prepared. I get this is a lot, so start now. Develop your disaster management plan. First, download all the resources attached to this lesson. Then allocate an hour each day and start to fill them in, one at a time. Here are 3 messages to remember about being prepared. A disaster management plan begins with identifying roles and forming a disaster management team. Host trainings that simulate disaster scenarios, including guest communications, evacuations, and medical emergencies. And prepare a go pack that contains important documents and equipment and store it where it's easily accessible. Imagine a business suddenly slammed by an unexpected pandemic, caught completely off guard by the challenges it encountered. Trust me, you don't need to stretch your imagination too far. The consequences of COVID-19 were fast and unforgiving for many. Supply chains were disrupted, revenue decreased, operations changed, and employees faced uncertainty. The pandemic showed us how important it is to have a good plan for recovering from disasters. So in this lesson, you'll gain the essential knowledge necessary to create a business recovery plan. The COVID-19 pandemic, like other natural disasters, has made it abundantly clear that having a well-structured recovery plan is vital for businesses. Such a plan can help your business not only stay afloat, but also become more resilient. Now let's turn this insight into action. Here are 5 essential actions to help you prepare and recover effectively from potential disasters. Action 1 is your cleanup. First on the list is preparing for cleanup. Identify reliable cleanup service providers and have their contact details handy. Consider this insight. If you anticipate potential disasters, such as an approaching bushfire, contemplate pre-booking excavation and cleaning services. Being proactive means that you won't be scrambling against other businesses for the service after the event. You may find that you need to rebuild rather than clean up. Think proactively about the enhancements that you can make to your business, whether it's measures to reduce further impact, like using stronger materials for bushfires, or moving power points higher up for floods, or whether it's embedding climate action in your rebuild through more energy-efficient equipment. You can plan for some of this before a disaster hits, so that your rebuild is efficient and beneficial. Action 2 is financial preparedness. Financial planning for disasters is challenging, but essential. Have proactive payment discussions with suppliers and document the outcomes in your recovery plan. Develop specific financial plans tailored to different disaster scenarios. For short-term resilience, utilize existing funds and cash flow to address immediate repercussions. For long-term strategy, adapt your financial approach, possibly exploring joint marketing efforts. Action 3 is revisiting operations. So next, let's reassess your operational strategy. Compile an inventory list of equipment and add detail of equipment rental options. Prepare in-depth knowledge of alternative suppliers. Additionally, develop contingency plans for partial business reopening or, if necessary, explore options for temporary relocation or alternative services that you can offer. Action 4 is your human resource readiness. Human resource management is critical. While short-term disruptions may allow for business as usual, medium to long-term crises may require difficult decisions concerning your workforce. Familiarise yourself with employment laws about staff management during disasters to make informed choices, such as standing staff down or encouraging leave or leave without pay. Action 5 is your marketing strategy. Disasters can disrupt your market dynamics, so prepare to adapt swiftly with alternative messaging and distribution channels. In case your regular visitors are affected, be ready to target a new audience with revised messaging and alternative channels. For instance, if your usual visitor, like a grey nomad within 100 kilometres, is impacted, target a new audience, like those who are 200 kilometres away who weren't affected. I understand that you can't predict the future and your plan will always need to be adapted to the situation. The goal is to prepare now to ensure that your business has the best chance to recover quickly and continue its operations even in the face of adversity. By taking these proactive measures, you're building a strong foundation for resilience. Take action now. Develop your disaster recovery plan and implement these 5 essential steps to safeguard your business and build resilience. Download the infographic. Your future success depends on your preparedness. Here are 3 messages to remember about your business recovery plan. Establish a well-structured recovery plan for your business to not just survive, but thrive with resilience. Identify cleanup services, plan finances, and reassess operations to be ready to recover after a disaster. And revise marketing strategies and consider new audiences when a disaster impacts your regular customer base. During a holiday park's peak season, a sudden bushfire quickly tested their disaster management plan and resilience. Despite regular trainings and plans in place, the actual situation differed from what they'd prepared for, and they had no plan B. They were taught to wait for emergency services, but the reality of waiting with only one road in and one road out left them stranded and vulnerable. The fire arrived with urgency. Power vanished, only 3 staff remained on site. With mobile networks their lifeline, alerts went out to visitors. But with the fire altering the landscape, the planned evacuation sites were compromised. Adaptation was necessary for people's safety. The lake with boats and blankets became the new evacuation space. This compelling story highlights the importance of quick responses, early warnings, and maintaining control during disasters. The last thing you want is to figure out who to talk to and what information to share as chaos evolves. In this lesson, you'll learn how to immediately respond to disasters using a structured 5-step approach and communicate in line with the cancellation policy and the specific needs of visitors. The response stage means putting all your prepared plans into quick action, just as the holiday park team did. Responding involves a 5-step approach to disasters as they unfold. Even though these steps are meant to be followed one after the other, it's super important that you just don't go through the steps and forget them. You need to keep checking to make sure that everything is going as planned. First, assess the situation. Check if it's safe to help. Every disaster has its own timeline. And the thing is, some of these disasters can be predicted with an early warning a few hours or even days before they happen. Lots of people I know, myself included, keep a close watch on weather patterns and receive government alerts. Early warnings, though not always available, offer vital preparation time to minimise the impact on your business, your staff, and customers. The main goal is to make sure that no one gets hurt. Reacting fast can potentially lessen the problem. If you assess the situation, you can decide if it's safe for you to intervene. In the case of the holiday park, it was quickly assessed that it was unsafe. And so they moved to step 2, act in emergencies. Call emergency services from a safe place. Staff could start responding immediately by following their training and putting their plans into action. Use the response checklist from the Go Pack to guide these actions. This can involve giving first aid, sending alerts, evacuating staff and visitors, as well as turning off energy, water, and gas. In any disaster event, people are really threatened by uncertainty, that terrible feeling that you have when you don't know what's going on. So another step is to stay connected. Keep talking, both inside and outside your business. Decision makers and people involved need to share their thoughts and skills. Be honest and clear. Use your contact hierarchy alongside your already prepared communications. If you don't have these messages, you can download them after watching our Preparing Readiness lesson. Another response stage is to record the damage. Attached to this lesson is an event log. This is how you can keep a record of what happened on the day of the disaster for insurance and your future records for recovery. When it's safe, take pictures, make notes of the event and the damage. Get your staff involved. They'll pick up on damage that you may miss. Then, check again. Review your response checklist again to make sure that important things are getting done. Get feedback from your staff and any emergency responders who are supporting you. This helps you to stay in charge and alter your plan if needed as things change and new information comes in. As you navigate through these important steps to responding to a disaster, you'll also need to make sure that you talk to your visitors about cancellations and refunds. When a disaster happens, history shows that a lot of people might want to cancel their plans and get their money back. This is because they think that the place or the experience might not be safe. In the unfortunate event that your business needs to close due to a disaster, your first intention will be to reschedule bookings. But it's realistic to expect that visitors might request a refund. In this case, you can follow your cancellation policy to know how to give refunds according to the rules that you've set. Now, it's your turn for action. Firstly, sign up to your council's early warning system. Then, review your current cancellation policy and make sure that it reflects the risks for your business. Don't wait. Download the response checklist and the event log from this lesson to confirm that you are ready to respond. Your proactive steps today ensure that you're ready for whatever comes your way. Here are 3 final notes from this lesson. Early warnings can provide vital preparation time to minimise the impacts of disasters on your business, staff, and customers. Clear communication, both internally and externally, is critical to address the uncertainty that often accompanies disaster events. And have clear communication with visitors about cancellations and refunds during disasters, following established policies and guidelines. Amidst a time of uncertainty for tourism businesses, a tale of resilience stands out. That of a thriving wine store before the worst bushfires their town had ever seen. Forced to close its doors for longer than expected because of the perceived risk reported by the international media. When the opportunity to reopen arose, they aimed to emerge stronger and provide support to their community, which was hesitant to return in the usual way. They actioned their recovery plan, and because they had prepared ahead for a disaster, they were able to adapt their approach, offering alternative experiences within just days of the area being declared safe. This strategic shift not only preserved jobs as the town reopened, but also led to the opening of a new venue within a year. In this lesson, you will learn how to adapt your recovery strategy so that you can resume business post-disaster for cash flow. Did you know that 75% of businesses that don't recover quickly fail within a year? Each disaster is distinct, requiring flexibility and openness to change. That's why you can begin with your existing recovery strategy. You can review each step and modify them as needed for the current situation. After a disaster, you face the challenge of rebuilding your property and operations. View this as an opportunity for innovation. Explore practical ideas such as raising power points to prevent flooding and removing gutters to mitigate fire hazards. Embrace sustainable solutions. Consider adopting sustainable technology solutions for a safer and cost-effective future. Businesses have successfully invested in low-carbon electricity systems powered by renewables and storage. This approach strengthens power distribution, demand, and flexibility whilst minimizing risks and costs. Take proactive steps to build back better, not just to recover, but to emerge stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Let's shift our focus to another critical aspect of recovery: adapting the disaster management team. As you work on rebuilding your business, it's essential to ensure that your disaster management team is suited to the current situation. Have there been changes in your team composition due to disaster impacts? Are there additional members needed? Or are some team members unable to aid in recovery because of personal reasons? Evaluate the effects of the disaster on your disaster management team and identify the right individuals to assess and address these effects. The next step is to reevaluate your operational plan. Your business recovery plan should outline necessary actions to restore your business operations. Determine the best approach for your current situation. Consider if temporary relocation or a partial reopening is suitable. For instance, the wine store brought the wine experience to customers when it was unable to open the shop. Assess if your product or experience can still be delivered in the same way. If not, explore potential logistic adaptations. Evaluate whether your primary supplier can cooperate or if you need to engage alternatives. Being well prepared saves time and accelerates cash flow for recovery. Next is addressing human resources. Evaluate your current staffing levels in light of the present circumstances. Consider adjustments that might be necessary, even if they involve difficult choices with long-term benefits. Engage in open communication by holding a team meeting to understand staff concerns and to share information. For the short term, assign existing staff to clean-up or gardening tasks while updating product descriptions and introducing temporary roles. Encourage staff with accrued leave for the medium-term needs, or explore adjusted employment arrangements if feasible under employment law. In cases of long-term requirements, explore options like temporary employment in local businesses or community opportunities. Collaborate with others to create a support network. This comprehensive approach allows you to thoroughly assess short, medium, and long-term situations before making staffing decisions. Lastly, address your marketing strategies. Adapt your prepared marketing strategy to the current circumstances. Make swift decisions about marketing channels and distribution for immediate sales. Consider shifting focus to different markets. Devise ways to attract customers back without reducing your prices. Evaluate the influence of the disaster on the destination's attractions and its appeal to the target visitors. Now it's your turn. Download the recovery checklist below, and with this, revisit your existing disaster management and recovery plans, and utilize the insights from this lesson to improve your recovery plan. Here are 3 messages to assist your business recovery. Recognize the importance of a quick recovery. Remember that 75% of slow recovering businesses fail within a year. Stay adaptable and modify existing strategies to match your current situation. And assess your team's readiness. Adjust operational plans, reshape marketing strategies, and collaborate with the community. This was the last lesson from our disaster resilience course. Congratulations! Let's wrap up strong. In these lessons, we've covered disaster management, including prevention, preparation, response, and recovery. This course was designed to provide clear guidance for every stage of disaster management, helping you to create actionable, comprehensive plans. Now, let's bring it all together so that you can continue to craft your disaster management plan. Continue to identify, assess, and reduce risks. Prepare for disasters. Put in the work now. For every dollar spent on preparing, you can save between 3 and 8 in recovery efforts. Form or review a disaster management team with internal and external people, and develop a disaster recovery plan. Disaster management isn't a one-time task or just for the bushfire season. It's a vital part of your ongoing operations. If it's not already, it needs to be integrated into your business routine. We hope that the information and tools from this course set you on your way to resilience. For the last time, I'm handing it back to you to prepare your disaster management plan. I'm Dr. Natasha Montisalvo. Thank you for joining me, EarthCheck, and the Queensland Tourism Industry Council team. Start building resilience today.